So good morning and welcome. Welcome to the Retired Living True series and today's topic, the truth about scams in the age of AI. For those who don't know us, my name is Brett Janelle and this is my wife and business partner Annette Janelle, and we're the co-founders of this seminar series, the Retired Living True series. And today we'll be your hosts along with 24 education partners, many of which you hopefully met as you came into the room. Aren't they a great resource out there? I saw a lot of people collect information as they come in, and that's the whole reason we have our education partners are there to be a resource for not only you, but also for us. So today has special significance for us. Does anyone know what today is? I'm messing with you because you don't. But today is the 10th anniversary of the Retired Living True seminar series. Yeah. Exactly 10 years ago, we started this.
And 10 years ago, we stood in a much smaller room than this one, and our hairy, audacious goal at that time was to have 80 people in the room consistently, and we figured that would be a success. Look at this room, it's so amazing. We really love the fact that you're all here, and the way that that has happened, for those of you that have invited your friends, your neighbors, your family members to come and join us, we thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So, I'm just curious, who's here for the first time? Do we have any first-time attendees? Wow. Thank you so much for being here and taking a chance on us today. I think you'll leave, hopefully, richer for the experience, more knowledgeable for the experience of being here. Who brought a guest along with them today? Did anyone bring a guest? Excellent, thank you. We so appreciate it when people bring along guests. So please, keep bringing those along that you know would value from this seminar series. So, a little bit about where this all came from for those who are new. 15 years ago, Annette and I were doing regular real estate. And at that time, we had a couple who influenced us, who were maybe a catalyst for change, catalyst for a different direction. So instead of focusing on regular real estate, we moved our business and started focusing on seniors who had a different set of needs than perhaps a younger audience. And by that I mean, as we all age, do we not have different challenges than our young kids? Yeah, life changes. So there is more challenges as we transition through different chapters of life.
The mic's changed.
The mic has changed.
The sound's changed.
Thank you, Larry. And so Annette and I, we focus on helping people who are downsizing, who are moving from a current home to maybe something more manageable. We help with what to do with all the stuff. We help with the move and the resettling, the sale of the home. So that's what we focus on. So that's one of the big challenges we have if we have to move. Who's got lots and lots of stuff and can't even imagine how they'd move? Yeah, so that's one challenge. But do we not have other challenges related to health, to finances, being scammed? There's lots of challenges as we all continue to age. So this particular couple were our business coaches and helped us go in this different direction. And they were also helped us a little over 10 years ago create this seminar series. And their names are Nikki and Chris Buckaloo. And they've become very good friends over the past 15 years.
And the reason why we bring them up today is because they have joined us today in our room. And they came here from Oklahoma City for a 3-day mastermind that they have been hosting here in Reno, along with a dozen other agents from across the country who also hold seminar educational series in their own communities. So you may not know it, but you are part of something bigger than what is just right here in Reno.
Pretty cool, hey? Yeah. So thank you, Annette. So before we get started with today's topic, I'd like to just go over a little bit of housekeeping. Everyone should have a handout. And on the handout, there is a section for you to write questions. So I have some amazing panelists with me today who are going to come up shortly. Unfortunately, I have spent probably 3 hours with them learning all about all sorts of different scams. We don't have enough time to cover everything, but if you have questions that come up, please write them down. So I'm going to ask our panelists questions on your behalf, And then we'll have maybe 10 or 15 minutes at the end if you have specific questions you would like to ask them. So hold off asking questions as we go along. Just write them down, and then there'll be an opportunity. If we don't get through all of the questions, the panelists have agreed to stay after the seminar and take one-on-one questions outside as well, so if you have specific questions. There's a section for notes, and on the back, in the middle, you'll see one question there for you, which I'd like you to think about as you hear from the panelists. The one action I'm going to take today because of this seminar is, I challenge you all to come up with one action, something you learn from today that would help you moving forward. And we'll come back to that at the end. You should also have a yellow sheet of paper for those who are here for the first time, our feedback form. And we so appreciate it when we get these all back. The information, your details that you put on this form are not shared with anybody. We don't sell this information. We don't give it to people outside this room. It's specifically for Annette and I and our team to keep improving the seminar series. So please rate us at the top, and please be fair about it. If you think the day was a 2, put a 2. If you think it's a 10, put a 10. But please give us a reason. If there's some way we can improve the seminar series, please write in what it is that we could do better going forward. Would you all be willing to do that for us? Thank you. We'll come back to this a little bit later. There's some other questions on there that we'll talk about as well. The only thing you could fill out right now is your details down the bottom. If you have a name tag, just putting your name tag on this page is sufficient because we already have your details. But if you came today for the first time and weren't signed up, then just complete your details so we can follow up. Also on there, if you do have unanswered questions, we follow up with everybody who writes down. If you want to be contacted with help with whatever it is, we will reach out to you. Again, we look at every single one of these. So today's topic, the truth about scams in the age of AI, is really important to all of us in this room, and Annette and I. As I mentioned, we're in real estate. We see lots of scams in our business. In fact, we just recently had a colleague who was helping a buyer purchase a home, which is always an exciting experience, purchasing a home. And during that process, they got into contract, we're all excited, and the buyer received an email from her agent saying, with details about the earnest money deposit or the good faith deposit. So when we purchase a house, one of the very first things we do is we deposit an amount of money showing that we're serious in terms of purchasing the house. So the agent had sent her client an email saying that you need to deposit your $10,000 good faith deposit within the next 24 hours to keep moving forward with the sale. And here are the wiring instructions of where to send that money. So all legitimate, all straightforward. Anyone who's bought a house has been through that process. So the buyer did this, and then I'm not sure if it was later that day or the next day, the buyer reached out to her agent, called up and said, I just wanted to make sure you got my $10,000 that I wired earlier today or yesterday. And the agent responds, what are you referring to? What email? What wiring instructions? Obviously, the buyer on the other end of the phone goes into panic, as does the agent. Can anyone guess what happened? Someone intercepted the emails. The email conversation between them was compromised. Somehow a scammer got hold of that, knew what the real estate process looks like, sent a fake email to the buyer, wiring the money to the scammer. Yeah, everything looked legitimate. So we don't want anyone to be in that position where they're going to lose money. So our advice, please, if it's real estate related and someone asks you to transfer money, or you're selling your house and they ask where do you want the proceeds of the sale to go, what bank account, don't rely on email. Call your real estate agent, call the title company, actually speak to the person who is sending that information to verify two things. A, that they sent you the email or the information, and secondly, the account details where the money is to go. Because there are people imitating title companies, real estate agents, and it is becoming a huge issue. So we all need to take responsibility, not rely on the fax or the email. We need to actually speak to each other and verify information. So we just want you all to be safe, and to do that, I have 3 amazing panelists. If you guys could come up and join me. And I just want to thank Erin Schiller. I don't know if Erin's in here, one of our education partners from Tycor Title. Yes, Erin's down the back. She helped arrange Frank from the FBI, who you're going to meet in just a moment. And then is Tim Johnson here with the Better Business Bureau? Yeah, Tim's down the back as well, another great education partner who helped organise to have our Attorney General's office here and a retired Reno Police fraud detective. So I'm going to introduce each of our panelists, but I want you to think about one thing for a moment. Who here is 60 or older? Come on, be truthful. It's pretty much all of us. So the Federal Bureau of Investigation that Frank represents provided me with this report in conjunction with Aaron, and I just wanted to highlight this statistic here. Hopefully you can all read this chart, but this was a report the FBI put out last year, and for the age group of 60 plus in the United States, we had over 200,000 complaints of scams, 200,000 complaints last year. The more scary number is the loss due to scammers in our age group was $7.7 billion. That was billion, not million, billion, $7.7 billion. The total fraud in the US last year was over $20 billion. And this, as we'll probably hear, is only the tip of the iceberg, because this is what was reported. Do we all know someone who's possibly been scammed and they're too embarrassed to report their loss or that they were scammed? Yeah. And I did a quick calculation based on $7.7 billion. Guess what that is per complaint, the average? $35,000. We are the most targeted group out of all the age groups. Anyone guess why? We have money. We statistically have more money than our 16-year-old children do. So it makes more sense to go after us than younger people who haven't built wealth yet. So with that said, could I start with you, Frank, as I walk up? Could you introduce who you are, the organization you belong to, and why you might be here today?
Thank you very much. This is a great opportunity. So my name is Frank Corral. I am the supervisor here in Nevada. I oversee all criminal and national security matters regarding cyber and manage a cyber task force. So we have about 20 personnel, and we're here to do something about that problem with all the money being stolen from you and defrauded.
Thank you, Frank. I'll get you to hold yours a little closer too as we go along. Eric, same. Who are you? Why are you here today?
Good morning. My name is Eric Haig. I retired from the Reno Police Department in December. I was working the last about 8 or 9 years in fraud investigations, and I also worked as a computer crimes investigator, and then the last 2.5 years or so I was on the Secret Service Task Force, which does a lot of fraud investigations, especially the ones related to computers.
Thank you, Eric.
Hi, I'm Mark Kruger, and I am the Chief Deputy Attorney General at the Nevada Attorney General's Office, Bureau of Consumer Protection. Our primary mission is to protect consumers from fraudulent and deceptive business practices in the sale of goods or services. And one of the things we like to do is come to series like this and presentations because we believe strongly that education is the first line of defense from being scammed.
Thank you. I'll get you to hold your mic a little closer.
Oh, a little closer?
Yeah, can we give a hand of applause for our panel? Frank hopped on a plane last night to make sure he was here on time for us today. So I'm so appreciative of the three of you giving up your time to help us today. So I want to start and just jump straight into the scams that we should all know about. So maybe I can start with you if you don't mind. Let's start down this end, Mark. What is the most common scam that gets reported to the Attorney General's office that we could share with the audience?
Well, we're seeing a lot of scams these days. I would say recently we've seen what I would call a government services scam. It's where you will get notification that you missed jury duty, for example. And if you missed jury duty, you got a fine, so you need to pay it right away. It may also be like a parking ticket. Oh, you haven't paid the parking ticket, so you need to send that money in right away. A lot of times it's accompanied by sending it in through a gift card or some other weird payment method. That's something we've seen quite a bit of lately.
Thank you. I'll get you to hold your mic. Is everyone hearing okay? Yep, it's good. Okay, maybe just me here. But yeah, just nice and close. Awesome. Frank, what's the most common scam at the moment the FBI is seeing?
The most common one is someone's contacting you over email and or a phone call, and they're saying there's some sense of urgency that your account's getting hacked. And you're going to work with that security personnel to reset your password, move your money. And that is one of the most common things where they're taking over a cryptocurrency account or taking one of your bank accounts and basically depleting all your funds. So that is one of the most common ones. If you want a second one.
No, so just so I understand, this is coming from email, where we're receiving an email and we're clicking on something?
Yeah, you're receiving an email, and in a sense, it has all the indicators of urgency, something's going on, and they're there to help you. So they're also coming off as a sense of a trusted person, right? You're seeing someone that's from the security industry. They could even say they're from the bank themselves or some other kind of line of effort to say, trust me, I'm here to help you.
And are there particular organizations that they're imitating, that they're making it look authentic?
Yeah, they'll come from, anyone here dealing with cryptocurrency? All right, so a handful. So they'll imitate Coinbase, right? That's a legitimate organization. They'll imitate Bank of America. They'll imitate those kind of lines, and even law enforcement as well. And they'll come at you and say, hey, there's a problem. You're getting hacked right now, and we really need to protect your funds.
Okay, thank you. Eric, what did the Reno PD, what was their most common scam that you'd be dealing with?
I think the most common one when I left would have to be the pig butchering scams. And this is a scam where you will get, either you're on a dating site or something like that where you're trying to meet people, and they'll meet you that way, or you'll just get a random text message that will come in and it will say, hey, George, move your car. And when you respond and say, you got the wrong number, they end up trying to strike a conversation with you, and they will befriend you and be friends with you over months. And eventually they'll send pictures of themselves in Lamborghinis or things like that. And when you ask them, how do you have so much money? They say, oh, I have this investment program, check it out. And they want you to try to invest, and they'll use fake websites, and usually it's cryptocurrency, and you'll end up just investing, thinking you're making money, and then when you try to pull it out, there's no money there.
This was the pig butchering one? Pig butchering, I think we had a slide, didn't we?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. You're good. So pig butchering. So why is it called pig butchering?
So the name comes from China. The scam originated in China, and it's really maybe a bad translation is what I've heard from it, but it's kind of they're fattening up the pig for the slaughter, and when they're just keep pulling money from you, they'll even add things when you say, I want to take some money out, they'll say, oh, okay, well, you have to pay these taxes, and then we can get your money out. So they'll keep trickling away and chipping away, fattening up the pig until it's time for the slaughter, and that's usually when contact is broken and you just can't get a hold of them anymore.
So some of these are like almost like the Ponzi schemes. I see something online about a return, I can get 20% return on my money. I test it with $1,000 and I get money back.
Yeah, it's probably a little too complicated to go through a lot of the details because we don't have a ton of time. But there are part of the scam where they will let you pull out a little bit of money. Most of the time, that is somebody else putting some initial money in, and they'll give that to you as kind of a way to hook you and think that you are actually doing something legitimate. And I've found several victims when I found a deposit into an exchange that it was somebody getting money back that didn't even know they were a victim yet.
Wow. Mark, do you have another one for us that we should be on the
Sure.
lookout for?
You know what? Something that came to mind as we were talking and listening to these other scams is the utility scam. What will happen is the utilities company will take advantage usually of a 3-day weekend. The scammers will pretend to be a utility like Nevada Energy, Southwest Gas, and they will contact you and say, you didn't pay your bill. We have records that your bill hasn't been paid. You need to pay us immediately or we're going to shut you off. Can you imagine in the wintertime when you need heat, or in the summertime when you need air conditioning? It will cause you to panic and pay that. Utilities will never ask you to pay over the phone. Never.
Thank you. Frank, do you have another one for us?
Yeah, another one that's really kicking off is someone pretending to be an FBI agent. They're using true name, they're contacting you, and they're putting you in a sense of distress. So one of them is, your bank account is linked to money laundering, and you're giving money to a drug cartel. So right there, everyone in the audience, ask yourself, are you giving money to a drug cartel? And the answer is no, right? Just check it. But that is it. But these people are getting upset. We in this room in the United States, especially in Nevada, we're good people. If we get accused of doing something wrong, we want to correct it. Obviously, this is a mistake. How can I help you? And they're like, that's great, I'm going to defer you to another line, here's another agent, they'll talk to you, this person talks to you, and they convince you to move the money to another bank account. And these people are getting caught up in that. And it's not just thousands of dollars, we're seeing millions of dollars being lost in these schemes. So when you're getting attacked by these things, start thinking about it. Does this really make sense? I know there's a sense of urgency. I know there's a trusted person. You trust the FBI, right? Okay, when we're done, you're all going to be trusting the FBI. But at the end of the day, they're exploiting these mechanisms, and we're going to get into some of those, of why it's breaking down your sense of security and breaking down that barrier, and you're caving into the scam.
Thank you. Eric, do you have another one for us?
Yeah, another one that I saw a lot, that, especially as I was leaving, it was really ramping up, was the use of skimmers in the area. And, you know, there's lots of schools of thought on that. People will say, oh, I tug on the machine every time I do it. That's not always going to work. One of the skimmers I got from Sparks Police Department.
Can I interrupt? Can you just explain the skimmers? I've put a diagram up that you had kindly sent to me, but what is skimming for those of us who...
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. I probably skipped that. So the skimmers are where they're stealing your credit card information when you're paying for it. So they'll put a device over the actual credit card device that when you swipe your card, you'll pay, but it will also steal your information. And it's pretty prevalent in the area. There are groups that travel around the country, and they'll do big loops where they run around and drop all the skimmers, and then they'll go back and get the information from the skimmers as giant loops that they're doing. A lot of times people think that the store is involved. From what we've seen, I've never seen a store employee or owner involved in them. I know it does happen, but in my cases, I never had it. And a lot of people think that you can just kind of tug on the payment machines and that you might be able to find it that way. Sometimes. One of them I had from Sparks was on so well, the only way to get it off was to break it, and we had it in a bunch of pieces when we had to do the analysis on it. The best thing you can do with this is use the tap, is the number one, because there supposedly are skimmers for that, but I've never seen one, and even the work I've done with the Secret Service around the country, I've never heard of one. Doesn't mean they aren't there. But the tap and the chip, they have a rolling code that changes every time you use it, so it's a good way to avoid that. The swiping is the one. So if you go into tap and it says it's not working and they want you to swipe, just use a different device, would be my advice.
And in that diagram, that PIN pad is obviously to get our PIN number. It's a fake PIN pad, so they get the PIN pad, our PIN number, along with the credit card details?
On those devices, it depends on which kind it is. Some of them will actually catch your PIN through the keys. The keys will go through to the ones underneath, and it will pick up your keys. Sorry, I'm just looking. I don't remember which pictures were up there. Those are just some examples of how skimmers can be the overlay. The other one, too, is some of the skimmers that we found in the area are actually inside gas pumps. So you won't see a skimmer on the outside. No matter how much you tug on it, if it was a loose one, it wouldn't come off. They're inside and part of the electronics inside that they've bypassed, and it collects that way. When you go to the gas station, they should all have the tape like in the picture there. That one's from Costco. They're a good example. I actually talked to them, and they said we could use the picture. But if you look for the tape, Costco does a good job. They have tape over the card reader. They have tape over the door. They have everything where it's supposed to be, and they actually are doing the tape where they're supposed to. Because I've gone to some of the gas stations where the tape's missing, and I've told them, and they said, oh, I'll go put a new piece of tape on. I said, that's not the point. You have to open it up and check and see if anything's in there now, because it could have been accessed.
Thank you, Eric. I think Eric just sold a whole lot more Costco renewals and memberships. Costco are doing it right. Do we have any more before we move on to my next question? Maybe we'll come back as we think of ones. So none of those sound like anything to do with AI, and our topic today was the truth about scams in the age of AI. So what do we need to know about AI scams? Are they common? How are people using AI, if at all? Frank.
So AI is being used in these scams as well. So they're using AI to develop the profile of you. So that will develop what are you in common with, what are your pets' names, to get some familiarity with you, what your interests are, and then they'll develop the language AI. So that allows them to overcome language barriers. So some of these scams are originating overseas. They don't speak English well, but the AI is correcting their grammar and making it sound very authentic when it comes in. The other way is if you're having a social encounter, and I understand there is some loneliness, right? And there's some gap in there. You may have a social encounter. AI is being used to do face swapping, to provide an image of someone that you want to see, to enable voice. So even though they're speaking their native tongue, the voice that you hear is English and it sounds authentic. So artificial intelligence is being utilized in this manner to enable these crimes. A lot on the social aspects and exploiting trust is a lot of where artificial intelligence is being used to elevate someone who doesn't necessarily have the skill set and to come after you and enable them and sound authentic and believable, create that trust and create that urgency.
You had sent me this screenshot just as a very simple example of a scammer being able to come up with verbiage they could use in a text message, email.
So I just gave the AI engine simple instructions. If there's a Bob in the audience, I'm not talking to you, but I'm targeting you and I'm developing language to have that urgency and trust. In this particular example, I'm pretending to be a security person, identified some problems with your account, and I'm asking the AI engine, generate me some text. Put that text in an email and let's start my campaign. So it's very easy to use these tools and a little too easy for a criminal who doesn't really have the necessary skill set. And this is just playing around with the engine for 5 minutes to produce slides for you.
So I could have poor grammar spelling, but this is going to make me look good.
This will make you look good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Scary.
you look great.
Thank you.
You look great. This will make you look really good.
So Mark, what have you encountered with AI?
You know, a lot of times what AI is doing is it's taking an older scam and it's changing it and it's making it more susceptible. So like what Frank was talking about, developing trust, sometimes these scams take advantage of trust that already exists. We see this in voice cloning and what I call the grandparent scam reinvented, because what they do is they take little clips of your grandchild or your child or some other loved one, and they're able to voice clone those clips that they get off of social media. And then they contact you, and you will believe that you're talking to your loved one. You will think it is them. But there will be clues, like they will have weird requests. Don't tell anyone. Make sure you send some money quickly. I'm in trouble. These types of things. So AI is enhancing an old scam and making it new, making it more believable.
So that voice cloning is huge because we can easily be fooled if I think it's Annette calling me. So how do we defend against that? If they're so good that we don't have clues, but they're asking for money, Annette, can you please bail me out of jail again?
Yeah, one of the best things you can do, and what we recommend you do, is establish a safe word with your loved ones. Make sure you have that safe word so you can ask, what's the safe word? And the scammer won't know it. So that's one of the biggest things you can do to protect yourselves. Also listen for those clues. Listen and see the signs like sense of urgency, the weirdness of the request, the oddness of how they want to be paid, things like that.
So I mentioned that there was an action item on their handouts. Maybe that's a good one. Having a safe word, having a conversation with family members. Let's come up with a word or something that's unique that no one else would know.
That's correct. A unique word is usually the best for a safe word, but it's whatever is personal that you guys will remember, your family will remember, and then remember to ask as soon as you start seeing those red flags.
So I could ask the scam, oh, where was I born, or where was my mother-in-law born, or something that the scammer probably couldn't find online. Would that be fair?
Yeah, you could do that, or you could use the word pineapple. It really doesn't matter, right? Whatever word you guys come up with, as long as you know it and your family knows it or your loved ones know it.
Eric, AI. What do we talk about? You and I had a good talk about this.
Yeah, some of the things that are especially hitting the ones I talked about, the pig butchering and the skimmers, are automation is much improved with this, which makes it more accessible to more scammers, and also less scammers need to do the work to get more people. One of the things I used to always press at these is don't be the low-hanging fruit, do things to protect yourself, and usually you won't get picked off. But this is making the low-hanging fruit lower because there's more people doing the scamming at a higher level. The other thing too is the deep fakes, kind of along the voice cloning. They have videos that look just like somebody, and it can be a family member, it could be a celebrity, it could be whoever it is, and they're telling you, I have this great investment, check it out. And one of the things we did talk about too was that a lot of really smart people are getting hit by these. I had a guy who works in cybersecurity as one of my victims, and he comes to me, he's like, I don't know how I fell for this, but you know, so-and-so, I can't remember the guy's name, but somebody real big in cryptocurrency, and the guy did a lot of cryptocurrency work, says, I completely fell for it. I thought this was a legit investment.
So on that, a lot of us think, well, it won't happen to me, but without actual names, you cited off a number of different careers, occupations of people that you helped that had been defrauded, scammed. What were some of those? What are some people that people would be surprised by?
So yeah, without naming any names, just keep in mind, this isn't about your intelligence level if you're a victim. I've had judges, I've had prominent attorneys, I've had ER doctors, I've had business owners, so it can happen to anybody. And one of the themes that we kind of hit on, this isn't about finding the unintelligent person and hitting them, it's finding the person who trusts you and hitting them, and using the psychology of urgency and fear to try to get you to go for it.
So Mark, what is the biggest warning sign for any of us in terms of potentially detecting that someone's trying to pull a scam on us?
Well, that's a great question, and it's something I hope that you guys will take away from this. We've been talking about it. It's that sense of urgency, that push to make you guys give them a password, give them some of your private identification, give them money, give them whatever they like. That sense of urgency is huge. So that would be the biggest one, I would think, and then it goes from there. You just heard how they use fear. They use other types of emotional things to cause you to stop, and not stop, but rather act without thinking.
Thank you. Eric, Frank, did you have anything else as far as other than urgency that we should be on the lookout for? Frank?
Yeah, he's touched on it perfectly. I think if I could boil it down, anytime you're on a social platform, email, text message, phone call, and someone mentions money, that's a flag. There's some urgency, and there's some trust with someone you really don't know who is. Right there, alarm bells should be signaling off right there, and you should be stopping what you're doing and pause before taking any further action. I think you're hitting on all those things, and I would just say money, urgency, and there's some trust on any social media, hit the pause button.
So if the communication is not in person, if it's online, text message, email, pop-up, any of those cause for concern, we should all just pause, yeah? Possibly a scam. And then what's the next action? Sounds like from what you said, reaching out to the person.
Well, I think you're going to address that later. So
Okay,
don't want to
we'll
steal the
just-
thunder.
Okay, thank you. So I have a truth that we've just put up on the screen. I just want your comments on it, and I can't read it from here. Money lost to scams almost is never recovered. Can we dispute that? Are we going to get our money back? Can I call you and you'll...
I can dispute that.
Okay.
It takes time.
Should we assume that, though, going in? If we're being scammed?
I think the first thing to assume is you got scammed. Don't let your ego get in the way. It happens. It's unfortunate. It happens. It's your turn to be a great victim. You know, think about it. What just happened? Who are you talking to? What are the modes of communication? Be robust. If you're passed to someone on the phone called Jim, remember that name. When did this happen? What time? Do you have call records? Be a great victim. You just witnessed the greatest accident in your life. Tell that story very correctly, and that's what because that information empowers us, and we're going to get into what that information can do and try to get that money back. Now, there are instances where that money is going to go. You know, if they take the money and they blow it on cocaine, there's not much I can do about that. If they liquidate it to cash and it's dispersed, not much I can do about it. But in today's age, Contrary to a lot of hackers think, there's a lot of digital evidence for us to follow, but it's up to you to be a great victim.
Thank you. Eric, Mark, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I would say in general, I would assume your money's not coming back. There are recoveries. Recoveries do happen, and sometimes you do get your money back. But some of the things that you have to be aware of is like the payment method. If you guys don't invest in cryptocurrency and somebody's asking you for cryptocurrency and you don't know how to use it, don't use it. You know, the police are never going to ask you for gift cards. That's not a thing. You don't pay with gift cards. Gold bars, that was a big one too. The one thing that I would worry about from individuals, especially individuals who are not super wealthy, is my experience is when I look up these and I come to these, and I apologize I didn't get the numbers before, usually the average loss is in the 10 to 1,000 range, like 40,000, 50,000. All of my cases, I think my minimum was about 400,000. So all those cases below that in the loss just didn't make it far enough to get to me, because there's only so many hours in the day, there's only so much I can do, and they can only assign so many cases to so many detectives.
So wow, so if it was below 400,000, I'm probably not seeing that money again, because yeah, there's just, as you said, not enough resources to be chasing all of those scams.
Yeah, and the one thing I would say though is please report it if it happens, because there's a lot of statistics that go on. I mean, I think he can attest to it too. There's a lot of tracking and statistics that go on that are watching this stuff. So even if it doesn't get you an immediate response, there's also the possibility that you're part of a bigger crime and you may be able to get some of your money back if a big recovery is done and you were part of that. So it's really important just for tracking purposes to report, and that you may be possible to get part of a big recovery.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, where to go and report and so forth. So what steps should someone immediately take if they think this is a scam? This is the first part of the question. Maybe Eric? If I think this is a scam, what should I do? How do I?
The biggest thing is to contact somebody you trust. Your family, the police, whoever it is that you need, contact somebody you trust. And I think the number one, don't be embarrassed. It happens to people, like I was saying, judges, attorneys, doctors. It happens to smart people. It doesn't mean you're not smart. It is a hit to your ego, but don't be embarrassed. Please, I've had people not report and not want to do anything because they were embarrassed that they lost money.
So if something seems suspicious, before going any further with it, I should just reach out to someone else and just get a second opinion. Does this seem legitimate? Is this too good to be true? Would you agree, Mark?
Yeah, I totally agree. The other thing you can do, and a lot of times they'll be like, oh, you know, we need you to verify your account number. You don't need to get a phone call from somebody. You can hang up and call that bank, call from the card number, call from your utility bill, call those numbers, and that way you can see whether or not that's a scam or whether it was legitimate. Most banks aren't going to call you and ask you for your bank number. So call the bank and you'll find out. So I totally agree.
Okay, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about any new or trending scams. Is there any scams that we didn't talk about that are newer that you're seeing on the horizon coming in that are going to end up being a bigger and bigger problem as time goes on? Frank?
Yeah, we are seeing a rise on extortion-based scams.
Extortion-based scams?
So you may have a family relative traveling overseas, and you're going to get a call that they've been kidnapped or they're arrested, and that call is coming in and they need money from you to bail them out or pay the ransom for that. So we are seeing those scams coming up along with these extortion scams. For Nevada, specifically for Nevada, the extortion scams are trending high. So that's the kind of new scams that are coming in, impacting this community right now.
And do you have any idea why we're seeing a rise there? Is it because of AI and greater access to information and research and being able to?
It is lends to believe that access to AI is enabling this, be able to go through social media accounts, identify travel. That is one of the things. We're also getting people coming into our area, like Vegas and here, to do speaking engagements or to attend some kind of conference, and they're publicizing it, right? They're tweeting it out. I'm heading to a conference. Well, that person's in a gap, and they're coming from out of country, and they are getting ransomed and extorted as well. So we're seeing both ways, people coming in and people leaving. When it's publicized like that, the AI engines can grab that information and identify and enable these kind of scams.
Okay, thank you.
And I just wanted to add too, we're seeing a rise in charity scams, especially when they're related to an event, an incident, like a shooting or some other catastrophic. What they'll do is they'll set up fake websites, and with the use of AI, they can make these things look really legitimate. Like you think, and they're preying on your emotional state. You want to help. And so they prey on that by going, here, donate here, this is tax deductible, and in fact, you're not gonna get anything, especially when they try to sell you like a t-shirt, and they say 100% of the proceeds goes to the victims of the tragedy, and it doesn't. You don't get any of it. We work with Facebook and a lot of other places to take those scams down, those websites down when we identify them, but they're getting more and more difficult to identify because of AI.
And you were seeing a lot of those on the likes of social media such as Facebook? Or,
That's correct.
yeah, a lot of those are just scams. Eric?
I've been out for a few months, so I am a little bit off, but it's one of the things I saw over my years of doing it is they seem to cycle back around. And the same scam will come back over and over, and it will change a little bit, and it will be little differences here, but it kind of is the same scam again. It just is a little bit different. Instead of it being, the utilities, now they're saying they're a police officer and they have a warrant for you. But it's the same scammers doing the same thing, just making little differences.
So I put up another truth there from our conversation, Eric, and that is scams are a business with scripts, quotas, and call centers. You and I, the three of us, talked about that. It's not just individuals now who are trying to scam us, it's whole organizations that are set up for this. Can you just elaborate a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so that's a big part of what these are. These are businesses that are going on, and these are people run it like a business. It's usually criminal enterprises. A lot of times it's international. That was one I mentioned to these guys. There was a really good story by CNN by Ian Watson. If you look it up, for pig butchering, and he goes into the whole where they're kidnapping people and taking them to Myanmar and forcing them to work as pretending to be your friend. But another one that came up recently was some of these police scams where they're saying they're a police officer and that you owe money are coming from a prison in Georgia where a gang is running this scam out of the prison.
Wow. But as you said, now they have much better access to information. They can process information more quickly with the help of AI and can present it more authentically. And even more importantly, as you said, they're able to do it at scale. They can have one person who's trying to scam 50 people at once.
Absolutely. There is where instead of one person maybe running 10 phones with AI helping them, now one person can run 500 phones because they have AI helping them with the conversations. And it is a big difference in the way you'll see the texting coming through, where the bad English isn't bad anymore. And so that's not one of the things you can usually pick up on. And one of the other things too is, I think we kind of hit on a little bit, but the urgency when they're saying these things, hey, you got to pay your bill right now, otherwise your stuff's getting shut off. Time is money for them. The more money they can get quicker, it's not only using the psychology of the urgency, but also they're trying to get as much money as fast as they can.
So talk to us a little bit more how they're using psychology, how we are falling for these, because as you said, there's very smart people you've worked with who you would think would pick up on it, but it's not as simple as a spelling mistake anymore. They're dragging us in or drawing us in.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They put the fear into you, because if you get a call from an FBI agent and he says, I have a warrant for you, that's going to put fear in you. If they say, I'm shutting off your power right now, that's fear, right? And you have a fear response that's psychological that you can't help. It just is part of the way our bodies work. And when they have the urgency, it's happening right now, that's another thing, that it's part of the psychology that these scammers know about. And when they isolate you from your family members, they say, don't tell anybody about this, otherwise we're coming to get you right now. All that fear, urgency, isolation is some of the psychology that these groups are using to try to get you to fall and give them money as quickly as you can.
Thank you. Frank, what would you like to add to that?
No, I think they're capitalizing on that, right? There's a sense of fear, urgency. You're talking to someone that may be authoritative, and it's breaking down your guard and lowering it down, and it's going to break you down and make that bad decision, and they're counting on it. So that is exactly right.
Thank you. Thank you, Annette. You're realizing that's not recording. Oops. We're going to have to go back to the very start because Brett forgot to hit record on the camera. Huh. So aren't you glad you're here in person and not waiting for the recording? Thankfully, we have 2 other cameras, so we might resurrect and actually have something, but we're all human. Oh, where were we? We'll live, yes. So let's talk about tools, resources. Where do we go if we're being scammed? We believe we've been a victim. Where would you suggest, Frank, we start?
I would immediately start with ic3.gov. If that's something you could write down, ic3.gov.
So if you'll just turn to the second page of your handout, Frank provided me with the information, and I've put it there so you don't have to write it down. And it's like maybe a quarter of the way down. There's a screenshot up on the screen. But yeah, look for the line on the second page of your white handout, and you should see on there FBI ic3.gov. Everyone find that? Maybe help your neighbor if you're struggling to find it. Yeah.
Now, that website includes a lot of the trends that are currently going on, a lot of the scams. Most importantly, it is our link to you, and that is a victim portal to fill out the information. Now, we are getting success on recovering these funds, even with cryptocurrency, but time is of the essence. If you report a scam, where like you were mentioning the investment, put in 1,000, now it's 5,000, oh, you can't get your money out. Before you know it, you invested $200,000 in a pig butchering scam that started last year. I'm not going to be able to help out that much. But time is the essence, and the statistics are showing the sooner that you report that scam, on the back end is some automation. And what people don't know is the FBI is working very hard on relationships, not just here in the United States, but abroad. Relationships with the bank. So as soon as we see that fund, that bank account, the date, the timestamp, we don't care if the money's in Singapore. We're stopping the transaction. We just froze it. That gives us a chance, and we'll reverse those transactions back. Now, you don't get all the money back because the banks do like to make their money, right? But you do get a big chunk of it. Right now, I woke up this morning and I have a $2 million asset frozen in Saudi Arabia. We're going to get that money back. But if you don't get over your ego, and you don't just admit you got hacked and you got had and you got scammed, file that complaint as fast as you can. Give us a chance. And that ic3.gov is a great resource. From there, I would go down the line. Whatever banking institution you got, call the number, not the one that the hackers gave you, but the real number. They talked about your trusted relationship. Call your friends. Please file a police report. Please come to the FBI office, file a report. The faster we get this information, you're giving us a chance to help you get that money back.
Thank you, Frank. Mark.
You know, Brett, I want to say it again because I think Frank is absolutely spot on. The faster you act, the better chance you will get for IC3 to get money back. And if you can't remember IC3, go to any law enforcement agency. They work together. They will refer it to IC3 almost immediately. That is one thing, especially here in Northern Nevada, our law enforcement is excellent, and they talk to each other, and they share information. So report it as soon as possible. Also change your password.
So am I calling local law enforcement first, or am I going to IC3? Do I call the Reno PD?
It really doesn't matter. IC3 would be the main point of contact. Frank's absolutely right. But if you can't remember, or you just need to run down to the sheriff's office or the police station, they will work with you. They will get IC3 involved.
Okay. Eric, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, the thing I'd like to add is find somebody you trust, that you know in person. If it's a relative, if it's friends that you live near, anything like that, those are people to talk to too. If you're not sure about something, get with those people because they can help you. But then on top of that, reporting it as fast as possible is one of the biggest things. These kind of events are one really good thing to come to. And then on top of it, when I worked for RPD, I got calls all the time to go to retirement homes, to go to other locations, churches, things like that, to do these kind of presentations so that people could see what the scams look like and the ones that we're seeing. And so I'd bring the most current stuff I had. A lot of times I'd actually bring physical skimmers with me so they could see what they look like. And so you could actually hold them. I have some that I've taken out of evidence because the cases are adjudicated, and you can actually see what they look like and know what you're looking for when you go into the store.
Thank you. On that resource section in your handout on page 2, you'll see some other great resources if you want to further educate yourself. The Better Business Bureau has some great resources, as does AARP. So if you're wanting to learn more and keep up to date, those are great places to visit as well. So, looking ahead, what should we be on the lookout for? You had shared something with me, Frank, and actually if I can put up the slide if we have it. You sent me a passport.
Yeah, so with $10 of crypto, I can create a fake passport. I could be from France, Germany, United States, and I have an identity document. I think a lot of that would apply in the real estate markets, these fake identity documents. Quite easy to do. AI is here and it can generate these things. But I really don't want this to be all doom and gloom for you. We use AI. I have a team, we're implementing AI. It's enhancing our ability to do law enforcement, enhancing our ability to look at large amounts of data. The next generation is using AI. My son's using AI, right? He shouldn't be using it to cheat, but the teachers are using AI, and they're using AI detection models. It's becoming birthed right now. Law enforcement will start adapting to this next technology. We will start getting ahead of the curve as well. It's taking time, but it's coming. And so I don't want this to be all doom and gloom. It does have good uses. Unfortunately, right now you're seeing the scam portion of it, but it will start making its way. Law enforcement will start utilizing it. And I think some of the stuff, you guys getting the phone calls lately, and it's already labeled scam? It's probably AI. It's probably AI protecting you. So it's not all doom and gloom, all right? But it is something for us, our generation, to understand it is a mechanism that they're using to up their game.
So someone sending us something like a passport trying to prove who they are, or a driver's license or some other form of ID, we should be skeptical. We should be having a conversation, not relying on
Yeah, did you meet him for a sandwich? No. You're trusting that virtual platform, not real.
I think that was some of the best advice you gave when we were on the call, was actually reaching out to whoever the source was. And as Mark and Eric said, the phone number on the back of the credit card or the utility bill, or us reaching out.
Yeah, Mark hit it on the nail with the word. That was fantastic. For me personally, you have a banking asset or some asset. Maybe it's Bank of America, Wells Fargo, whatever it is. Right there on your nightstand, whatever it is by your phone, should be a phone number, a name, and a phone number, address. That's your trusted communication. And go down the line. If you have some kind of stock investment or whatever it is, there's a name, phone number, and address. When these things happen, in our line of business, we call it the brick and mortar, right? That's a building. I'm going into a building. When I bought my house, I went into a building and had the person who said they were give me the numbers for the accounting, the account to routing and the account number to send money. And I told her, I am not trusting anything else until I see you in this building with this information. I'm not meeting you at a gas station. I'm not getting an email. I'm not getting a phone call. I'm going to be in this spot with that number and you in front of me.
Thank you. Eric, anything you would add in terms of what we should be anticipating as scams, AI continue to evolve to protect ourselves?
I think just reiteration, it's going to be getting worse. It's going to be hitting lower level. People who are protecting themselves more, it's going to be hitting those people. So it's just a matter of being aware that they're happening. It's like he was saying, it's going to be machine versus machine too. It's going to be AI versus AI. So everybody in here who has a cell phone, you're using AI. There's AI embedded in all the cell phones now. If you're using Google, Google uses AI. So it's just a matter of realizing the threats are getting worse, but the protections are getting better.
Thank you. Mark, did you have anything last on that?
Yeah, I would reiterate everything that they said here. It's absolutely true. As AI advances, as the technology gets better, the scams are going to be harder to detect. The deep fake videos are going to be harder to realize. The fake news, anything that's going to basically help the scammers act upon all of the things we talked about here today, your fear, trust, all of these emotions to get you to part with your money. Scammers are not your friends. They have no emotional care about you. They don't even care if you woke up for the day and had a good day. They want your money. That's what they want, and they'll do anything to get it. Now, I also will reiterate what these guys said. The AI is also being used by law enforcement to detect these scams. So you're going to see advancements there as well. And I think as we go on, hopefully we'll be able to have some way to be able to detect it, that you can like go, I'll push this button, is this an AI? And teachers are now being able to do that too for when students are handing in reports. So there's not all bad news.
Thank you. So what one piece of advice would you like our audience to take away today, or one piece of information that they can be better protected to avoid being a victim of a scam? I want one from each of you.
I would say pause. Just pause. Anytime one of those red flags come up, you just want to pause and ask yourself these questions. You know, is this exactly what we were saying earlier? It has to do with money. It has to do with a weird request. It has to do with something. Just pause.
Thank you. Eric?
I think probably the number one thing I would say is anytime you're doing anything with money, make sure you're dealing with a real person. So it's really good to deal with people in person. If people are asking for money over the internet, over text messages, over email, I've had tons of cases where people have a boyfriend that lives on an oil rig and they're just helping them move some money, but that person doesn't exist and it's just somebody scamming you. So make sure you're dealing face-to-face with people, especially when you're dealing with investments or anything that's going to be using your money.
Thank you. Frank?
So I had a perfect quote for this, but I'm going to speak to the audience here. It's okay to be old school. You tell that to your family, your kids, everyone else. When it comes to money, you're going to be old school. You're going to talk to someone in person, and you're not going to get had. So I want you guys to communicate that to everyone you know. I'm old school. This is how I do my money. And that will prevent a lot of this virtual reality. Don't give these scammers the chance. Don't let them enable these platforms to get your money. Go old school.
Well said. Thank you so much. Old school. Love it. If you could put your hands up if you have a question, just keep them up for a moment so our mic runners can kind of see where they need to go. Keep your hands up. Do you have someone in mind, Michelle, you want to go to? Kevin? So let's start on this side of the room. Who do we have there, Kevin?
Okay, my question goes to the charity scams you're talking about. And with, you know, all of these GoFundMe pages, I know I have contributed a couple times only for something that's close to me. How do we double check to make sure that that is legit? Can we call the bank, because normally they have like a bank account set up or something? Can you call the bank and verify?
Great question. So how do we know that it's a legitimate GoFundMe page where someone's asking for money to help someone?
Yeah, that's a great question. The GoFundMe is an actual company that they will respond to you, so you can reach out to them directly. Most websites have a contact page, so when you get onto the website, you can contact them directly and ask them to verify the veracity of that GoFundMe page. They do actively, GoFundMe does actively search its listings and make sure that these are actual legitimate, but they do miss them sometimes. So you're absolutely correct that there can be some on there. Just takes a little extra due diligence on your part. Most of the time, if you're going to be donating, you usually know what the cause is and that it's more legitimate. So be wary of these causes that you have no knowledge of it, and question to yourself, am I just getting scammed, or am I legitimately getting to the save the cats in Ireland type scam? So, or is this a legitimate thing and I really want to give to save these cats? So I hope that helps answer your question, but just do your due diligence.
Thank you, Mark. Michelle?
I have a real estate question. My home is paid for, and it has been legally homesteaded. Does that create a cloud on the title, and would that protect my home from scammers trying to take loans out on my house?
No. We are seeing an uptick in real estate scams where property is remote. Maybe the property owner doesn't live there directly. And you saw me create a fake passport, right? They're creating other fake documents as well and preparing that package and taking over your property and selling it. Typically what they're getting is like the deposit, but they are also getting in the real estate market using legitimate real estate agents saying, yeah, I'm selling this property. So those are some of the things that you'll encounter with that.
Aaron, did you have anything you wanted to add? Is it worth people being on property alerts to know if something is recorded against their property? I don't know if we have a mic for Aaron.
So there is a free
Can you
notification.
introduce yourself, Aaron?
Oh, I'm Erin Schiller. I'm with Fidelity National Financial. I'm also part of Ticor Title. I've been in the real estate industry for over 40 years and in the title industry. So one of the things that you may not know is there's a free recording notification service through the Washoe County, Douglas County, all the counties in this area. You can put up to 4 properties and your name, and it can be also in a trust. It'll notify you anytime anything is being recorded against your property that shouldn't be. Probably the other thing that I would do is always reach out to your title insurance company. You are protected. For example, if someone did record something against your property, they put a lien against it, they will fight for you. That's the whole purpose of title insurance. So make sure to reach out to your title company and ask what kind of coverage you have. So that's one of the things. But probably one of the easiest things to always use to also see what's going on with your property is a lot of people don't use Google Alerts. It's a free notification, and you'll get notified if your property is syndicated. And also it'll notify if someone's using your name or something like that on a syndication. So those are a couple ideas that I have. So thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Where are our next hands? Over to you, Michelle. Do you have someone? Kevin? We'll go with the side first. You win. Yes, please.
From what the detective said, it sounds like if you have a loss of $40,000 or less, your statistic.
Could you hold your mic, sir, just a little closer?
It sounds like from what the detective said that if you have a loss of $40,000 or less, you're basically a statistic and you're filling out the forms just to enhance law enforcement on making them aware. But there's nothing you can do if you have a small loss. I mean, you don't have the manpower, is what I'm hearing, to investigate all that stuff.
Well, that's a yes and no. I'm just saying on average, when there wasn't any like hard number that we ever went with. It was the lower amounts get less of the activity because the detective sergeants had a whole matrix they would go through about assigning cases, and a lot of it was the amount of loss. The higher the amount of loss, the more attention that case would get. It is 100% worth reporting it. And I would report it federal and local, because if we don't know that stuff's happening, there's no way for us to stop it.
Frank, you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, so the information that you're giving us, and especially if it goes to ic3.gov, allows us to identify trends. So we may be able to identify a trend within your complaint. Now, I'm not going to guarantee we're going to get the money back, right? But there are circumstances where 2 years down the road, when we do identify the person that did it, and then we're going back through our records and we're finding out all his victims, and then your name's going to pop up. And then we have a recorded loss here. And then when we go seize his assets, we return that money back to you. So that's how it's going to work. The other thing for me is, let's say, your crime never got investigated, but that allows me to go to my management and say, all right, we have a problem here in Nevada, it's this. I need to now assign resources and design something for this and study it a little bit. But I'm dealing with a scam right now, and it keeps popping up. And so I asked my team, this is now the third time I'm seeing this. Who owns the investigation? And they're like, FBI Chicago. Fantastic. Tell this victim, route that information, FBI Chicago, and then we organize stuff. So, that is the power of the complaint, organizing data, and that's what we're doing with that information. Okay?
Thank you for that explanation. That helps a lot.
I'm curious about the relationship between AI and the dark web, particularly as it relates to passwords that might be stored in iCloud or a password manager, and if those are at risk.
So I personally don't use a password manager. I like to know my passwords and not have them somewhere else. But I do understand, I do not recommend having one password. I recommend having a series of passwords. So whatever methodology you want to come with, use it if it's a password manager. But one of the key things is stealing passwords and decrypting the hash is opening the first door on a lot of cyber attacks. So the problem with that is when they come in, they're authenticating in as a trusted person to an organization, and it hurts our ability to detect. So that's why a password would be stolen and used. In terms of AI and the dark web, we have a lot of programs that we do in operations. We do look at the dark web as well.
On this side, who had their hand up? There in the middle, Michelle. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah. Yeah, please.
My biggest personal concern for the rest of my life is my troubles up here. Have you, gentlemen, experienced scams specifically promoting supplements that will protect your brain from memory loss and potential dementia and Alzheimer's? I may be part of 2 of them so far, so I care.
I can try to answer that. You're getting into the area of where there are kind of brand new scams, a little bit outside of what we're talking about today, but there are going to be some healthcare type scams that are going to be emerging as AI gets more technologically advanced.
I guess the ones we see online, different things we could take in order to not lose our mental cognitive ability. I know some of those are certainly scams, just trying to take our money. Maybe not a scam, but selling us something that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I do see some medical-based product scams. A lot of the base one is the sleep apnea one, where you're going to put on a mask at night, and you're getting a text message saying, hey, you got to reorder your supplies, right? That sounds great. They're giving you a percentage off. Do you know who this person is? No. You don't know who that person is. And my mom got hit with that. I was like, Mom, that is not a text you're going to respond to. So they are going to come at you in that particular way. It could be some medical-based one because they're targeting you. But you just have to understand, if you get targeted with that aspect, you're old school. You go to the pharmacy and get your supplies. Okay?
Thank you. Yes, go.
I recently fell for a phishing scam and gave access to my email account to the phisher. Of course, before I realized pretty quickly and went and changed my password, but before I got my password changed, they had access. What should I have done with respect to reporting and taking action other than change my password?
So your email account is probably second to your bank account, because the email account is containing a lot of the two-factor authentication for all your stuff, right? So that's something that has to be heavily guarded. I highly recommend a physical token So I can't say this is great, the FBI endorses this, but the YubiKey is pretty amazing. Highly recommend a physical token like a YubiKey on your email account. So if someone does get your password, does not matter, they cannot get into your account. In terms of reporting, please, that would be another thing to file with ic3.gov and other law enforcement.
One thing that would be important to check on that too, and it's probably going to be difficult for the normal user, is to go in and behind the scenes check if any rules have been put in place. So if somebody gets access to your email, they can put rules in place where any email you get goes to them as well, or any email you send goes to them as well, and they can be watching you and keeping track. So it's something that you may have to go to Best Buy or one of those places and ask for some help, or look up how to do it, but check and see if any rules have been put in place in the email.
So you're referring to like forwarding, my email's now being forwarded to someone else?
Yeah, the rules are kind of all over the place. It can sort emails, it can duplicate emails. I mean, there's a lot of things that the rules can do. If you haven't put any rules in there, then you shouldn't have any, and you're going to probably want to go in and check that.
Thanks, Eric. And then if you can come down.
Okay, I just got an email this morning with an urgent message in the subject line. So I kind of put my cursor over the source where it came from, and it was obviously not correct. So I didn't open it. So how do I report that to any one of you? I'm not going to open it and forward it to you. So how do you know? How can I tell somebody that here's a scammer? This is their email address. How do you get to know that?
ic3.gov. That's your answer. So you'll take that email, you'll whatever the email is. You don't have to send the email to ic3.gov, but just take a screenshot of it, send it in, and then we'll take a look at it. We're really interested in the metadata of that email. If you don't know how to provide it, someone will contact you and get it, but report that in, and then we'll analyze that.
Right here.
So can I just ask, because I get like 10, 12 scam emails every day of all sorts. Should I really be logging all of those if I have the time?
The spam filter is getting better and better, so I wouldn't worry about your spam box. But if you're seeing something that is a little more sensitive, that you're like, wow, that was really good, that came from a financial company that I work with, and or I'm about to invest in something and I'm going to buy a piece of property, that one we definitely want to jump on because that's causing damages.
Thank you. Howard.
I have a two-part question. How effective is the Gmail spam filter in catching scam emails? And the second part, if you get a telephone call that you're uncomfortable about, are you better to turn the tables and bait them out, or just simply hang up?
So the spam filters evolve over time. So they get better, the bad guys get better, they get worse. It's going to be a constant change with the spam filters. I don't know if anybody has a different, but with the spam calls or the scammer calls, the best thing is to hang up. And if you actually believe whatever they're saying, get the number through your own means, like the back of your credit card or whatever it is. Look up that number on your own. Don't use anything they sent you, and then call and check that way. I don't know, my kids love it when they call me and I'll be in the car and I mess with them for a half an hour drive or something. They think it's hilarious. And like I was saying earlier, time is money for them. So I'm wasting some of their time, but I'm not giving them any good information or anything like that. And I'll just kind of string them along as long as I can just to entertain my children. But it's they love it. But that's only if you feel like doing that, that's fine. I mean, you can waste their time if you want to, if you have the time, but otherwise don't give them any information, hang up. Don't respond to the email, don't respond to the text. I would even recommend if you get text messages that you know or think are bad, delete them. Because if somebody else is using your phone for some reason, whether it's a grandkid or a kid or whoever, they may go in and click on something that you don't want to have gotten clicked on. So get rid of it as fast as you can, the emails, the texts, and all that.
Thank you. Who's our next?
Yeah.
Hands up on this side of the room. Has anyone got a question? Maybe, one there. Thanks, Michelle.
I just have a question with the FBI agent. Where do you put your passwords? How do you remember them? Where do you write them down if you're not using a password manager?
I have a great system.
Yeah.
So I have, and I was set up to teach this to the Girl Scouts as well, is I make a sentence. So something easy for you, and so you could say, do you have a pet or a dog or bird? Okay, so the pet's name is George. I love George very much. Guess what? No one's getting that password. You know, it's a sentence. I would encourage you to make a sentence. It could be a short sentence, a 3-letter sentence. You don't need 4-letter words. I know where you're going. Just, you know, just make a simple sentence, and it's a phrase, and it's your phrase. And it could be, I love my granddaughter, whatever it is, her name, and that is a great password. That is something I would recommend. I have about 50 passwords. So it makes about 50.
50?
So it makes it easy to have, you know, a good base sentence.
This is a bit of an old story, but it...
Hey, Joe, I don't mean to interrupt you. No stories, just questions at the moment because we've got a whole lot of hands.
Okay.
Sorry. If we have time, I'll come back to you, Joe. Just I've still got a lot of hands up over here with questions.
What about timeshare scams? They want to help you get out of a timeshare, or you haven't used your timeshare in a while. We're offering a special deal.
Anyone encounter those?
Yeah, I can start with that. Timeshares are regulated in every single state. Some states are not regulated, but some states regulate them through their real estate division. A lot of times timeshares won't work with companies that try to solicit you to pay them to get out of a timeshare. I recommend highly that in Nevada, you go to the Nevada's real estate division whenever you have a solicitation from a timeshare.
Okay, thank you.
You're talking about olden days and how we did things, and nowadays it seems like we're doing none of that. And while we're talking about emails...
Can you hold the mic just a little closer?
Oh, when we talk about emails, every bill we pay online, any Zelle we do, any Venmo we do, we get an email about all this. Should we really be doing this? Should we have bill pay online, or does it have anything to do with this? Could we get scams from all this, and should we just go back to getting paper mail and writing checks? And yet I got a card that said, no gift card or check in here. People find the need to put that on their mail because even mail isn't safe. So I'm confused about what to do.
All right, it's a great question. So there's no sense in abandoning some of the convenience that we enjoy, right? I think auto bill pay is fine with your bank to the entity. It's just that you now have a trusted financial relationship with something. You have a trusted financial trust with the lawn mowing service or Pacific Gas, whatever utility company. So because of that, you just have to think things a little differently. So if you get a text message from these entities or a voice call that you missed your payment or a line broke, whatever it is, it gets down to what we said initially. All right, what's the true number of my utility company? And I will go down there and address it. So you don't necessarily have to abandon these conveniences you got, but understand everything that you have a trusted financial relationship, you have a trusted communication or physical address to resolve problems. All right.
Thank you, Frank. We've just about have ran out of time. As our panelists make their way out for your one-on-one questions, they're going to be outside the room. Can we give them a big round of applause for all of the great information they shared? If I can have the three of you just exit and then just go out that door. Just before you all leave, just a couple of last housekeeping items. One, if you could please complete your yellow feedback form. Two, do you have an action that you're going to take away from today? Hopefully everyone wrote down at least one action. Maybe the passphrase suggestion with the family members, or a long phrase for a password were two great suggestions I heard. And then if you would like to attend our workshop this Saturday on downsizing, please complete the yellow form, the bottom portion, tear that off, and Nikki over here with the basket will take that, and we'll take the first 60 people if we have that many. And I just want to thank you all so much for being here and being education-based and protecting ourselves. So thank you. Have a great rest of the day.